So good morning. I'm Megan Morris, as of today, interim CEO and president of the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce. On the call with us are several other chamber board of directors and Susan, who's also on staff here. So we've got a good turnout of folks who are very involved with this organization, and also looks like a growing group of members who are also very engaged with what we have going on. So that's really exciting. It's Friday. It's the first day of December. Take a breath. We've almost made it through the week, and it's definitely a busy time of year. Please do note that we're recording this session, and it'll be posted on the Chamber's YouTube channel right after conclusion. This is the Community Advancement Council. This is a gathering that we host at least quarterly online to bring chamber members together to learn about local and state policies and issues. And we want this to be a platform for engagement and understanding related to that. So we're really excited you're all on the call. Just a couple of quick chamber updates, and then we will dive right in. First, we are hosting the mayoral candidate forum for the city of Beaufort this coming Monday, December 4th. That's going to be at 6 p.m. at the USCB Center for the Arts here in downtown Beaufort. City residents will be voting for their new mayor. It'll be a one-year term. This is a special election. The two candidates are Mike Sutton and Phil Cromer. And the date of the special election, the day to vote, if you don't do it early, is December 12th. We here at the Chamber do not endorse candidates, but we'll always beat the drum for being informed voters and casting a vote whenever you get the chance. By the way, you can attend that forum in person or online. We're going to live stream it on our Facebook page, and the county channel is also going to stream it for us. So make sure you check that out, especially if you are a voter in the city of Beaufort. Second, kind of a teaser here. We are diligently working on the Chamber's 2024 public policy agenda. It is drafted and under review by our board of directors. We plan to post and share it with all the members in January, as well as our elected officials that we work with. Of which one I'm letting in right now, Representative Erickson. The public policy agenda, it's an important tool that we use to outline our guiding principles on our advocacy efforts on behalf of the employers in our region. So it's a really important tool for us. We have local, state, and federal groupings of issues that we track and encourage action on at each of those levels. Today, we're going to focus on the state levels. So that's why we have Representative Erickson and Will Frierson here with us. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce those two special speakers. Representative Shannon Erickson is very likely someone you're familiar with. She's a local teacher and businesswoman. She represents a large portion of our region at the House of Representatives for the state, and she is chairwoman of the House Education and Public Works Committee. Will Frierson is the Vice President of Government Affairs at the SC Chamber, and he gets the complex job of navigating Columbia and around the state and the political landscape. It's really awesome that they are both able to join us today. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to them. I've asked Representative Erickson if she will get us started, and then Will can chime in as well. And if you have any questions, you can either hold them till the end. We'll definitely open the floor, or you can send them to me in chat, and we'll make sure we get those covered as well. So Shannon, are you ready?
I'm here. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Glad everybody is here. Thank you for taking a minute. Sorry, I'm a little dressed down today. I had 4 12-hour days at the Statehouse this week, and made it home last night about 9 o'clock. So I'm sorry if I'm a little bit peaked this morning, but I'm happy to be home in Beaufort on a Friday. And what a great weekend it's going to be for all of us. I mean, I love our kickoff for the holidays in Beaufort. So I hope I'll see everybody around town tonight at night on the town. The State House has been busy over the off session. We really don't take much time as downtime. I think there are 13 special committees that have been working on the off time on different and various issues. Some of them small, just within, subcommittee meetings. A lot of them are our oversight committee meetings. And then I've been involved in a couple of them that are education or children related. Last year was a great year for us. We really, Beaufort County did well. Let me tell you, our delegation for Beaufort County is represented on almost every committee and literally carries the weight in the State House on the number of chairmen in standing committees across the House and the Senate. So when I tell you that your voice matters, it really does, because we take what you are experiencing straight to the committee chairman's seat to discuss with so many of our members of what you share with us. So we've done some good workforce development pieces. We're going to work on more. On the off season, have been working with our research universities and our comprehensive universities and our technical colleges. I'm trying to get a minimum of 30 hours of transferable credits, not electives, from our technical colleges to our comprehensive universities and our research universities for students, so that we're not having them have to do dual time and pay dual money. Quite frankly, it's not cost efficient, and it's costly to the actual person who's doing it. So we hopefully, my fingers are crossed, my toes are crossed, everything's crossed. I met with the technical colleges. I met with University of South Carolina. I met with Clemson this past week, and I had discussions with the Commission on Higher Ed for our comprehensive universities. I think we are very close to some MOUs where our students will be able to take a minimum of 30 hours straight to that 4-year degree without having to lose the credits as simply electives, but actually carry the weight of what they're going to be in their course of study. And that's huge for us. We need folks at work a lot faster. I've also had meetings this week with our Veterans Affairs office. And we've got a South Carolina Veterans Affairs office, and Will Grimsley from Beaufort chaired it for many, many years. I say many, many years, the first 3. Now we've got a new chairman, and I wanted to start us off on the right foot. Will had put a lot of things in place. We need to move forward. Military retirees and those who are leaving the service to find other work are some of our best optional employees out there. We want them to choose us instead of other options. So teaching, we want to make it easier for them to get into the classroom if they want to choose to teach. We want to make it easier for them to move into the medical field if that's what they want to do. So we want to recognize the work that they've done in their MOS, in their military service. If you've done work as a corpsman, that ought to count for something. If you've done work with educating recruits, I mean, you and I all know, if you're a drill instructor at Parris Island, you know how to handle classroom management. So we ought to be giving these folks the time and attention and credit for what they have done on the job. And we're going to find ways to matriculate those into job-ready skills and certificates through our technical colleges and our universities, so that when they're hitting the workforce, they're there with something faster. Again, using the experience they've had. One of the things we've had real good success on, we're almost there, is our CDL license. Most of our military folks come out of the military knowing how to drive big rigs. The fact that we were making them take all the CDL credits and work through that was just really ridiculous in my mind. So those types of things, being more efficient, working smarter, not harder, is really what we're focused on. Education wise, you're going to see the science of reading pushed through in early childhood and higher ed to train the teachers, train the young families that are doing it, as well as our K-5 through 3rd grade. Really immersion of science of reading. We've already seen in 3 pilot programs phenomenal gains on students who really are touching that achievement gap at a higher rate of speed than we've seen with any other piece that we have used. So gone is the old reading stuff, and back into some basics of actually using phonics. Math is the other piece that we're working on. There are about 8 different groups around the state working on math stuff. I'm in contact with them, but I'm letting some other folks in the industry work on what those pieces look like and where we'll move from that. one of the off-session piece is not much business, but it might be personal. I really care about children having a well-rounded education, and part of that is their experience on a sports team. And we've got a 100-year-old organization that's a nonprofit that accounts to no one other themselves. They literally are a self-perpetuating board. You pick your successor when you decide to retire. And time after time after time, we have seen children not allowed to play simply because of their zip code or where they live or what school they're in. Homeschoolers, school children who are going to independent or private schools or parochial schools, and public school children, even including church schools, all treated differently, all different rules to play by on their eligibility. And quite honestly, we've just had enough. We've got a problem now where the public schools don't want to play the charter schools. They don't want to play the independent schools. And these are South Carolina's children. And all of them are South Carolina's children of parents who are taxpayers. And we are working really diligently to fix that problem and make sports available to all children. They don't get to a promise of making the team. No one does, but everyone should be allowed to try out in a place that is fair for them. We're seeing rural children left out, and that is just really not fair. So the smaller schools don't have a vote. The vote in this group, the high school league, is weighted so that our 4 and 5A schools have all of the votes, and our lower schools, one of the superintendents spoke this just yesterday at our hearing and said they are at the mercy of all of the 4 and 5A schools, and what their little school needs is never listened to. That shouldn't be the way we work. Their school is just as important as anyone else's. So we're working on that, and there'll be legislation to, pardon the pun, level the playing field. So the other piece that we just started yesterday, one of the largest things, and we'll touch on this, is the childcare issue. I've been doing this job almost 17 years now. I've been talking about the critical need for high quality, accessible, and affordable childcare. I see Faith Polke on there. She can nod her head and know that I'm telling the truth. It is something that has been becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger issue. And I was the only person talking about it. And I warned them. I said it's coming. The train is on the tracks, and nobody would listen. And now we're at this dire strait where I'm sorry, but I'm also thankful for the business community stepping up and saying, childcare is not just a thing that we do for a luxury. It is not something that you should be regulating out of business. It's not something that you need to put on the back burner. It's what allows the rest of the workforce to show up every day. And, the childcare centers, I'm blessed with a governor who understood it. He called me during COVID and said, you guys are considered essential services. You won't be shut down. As long as you think you can safely operate and DSS will help you with that, you'll stay open. I knew then we might have a shot because Governor McMaster really understood that families needed that stability. Children don't need different caregivers every week. They need the same continuity. The brain development from birth to 5 is critical. It is not something that we need to ignore. And the fact that there are, I'm quoted in the paper yesterday, I call it friend and foe. It's the ones that you make a deal with. I'll watch your kids for a few hours. You watch mine for a few hours. And sadly, people are being put in the position of picking folks that they might not even know that well. And they're making really split decisions because they have no other options. So we have convened a Senate and House Joint Committee on Childcare, and I'm thrilled with that. It is Representative David Weeks, who's one of the longest serving members in the House. He's from Sumter County, and just a plug, he and I were able to successfully pass domestic violence reform in 2015. David was my co-chair then. So I'm thrilled that David is on the committee. Representative Neil Collins from Easley has formerly sat on the Children's Joint Committee, and he is an attorney who deals with a lot of adoptions and children's welfare issues. And on the Senate side, and of course myself, and then on the Senate side, Senator Ross Turner from Greenville, who's a businessman who understands people needing to come to work with stability at home so that they can do a good job at work during their day. And then Senator Kent Williams, who is a small businessman and a government employer, or I should say manager. He has worked for his city in capacities, stepping in. Right now, he's serving as economic developer because their economic development person had a tragic accident several months ago and became a paraplegic. And Kent is now wearing 4 or 5 hats, but he's a staunch advocate of our South Carolina First Steps. So he's a great person. And then, of course, Senator Katrina Shealy, who is the chair of the Joint Committee on Children and is probably one of the best folks that I work with up there when it comes to family. She chairs the Military and Family Issues Committee in the Senate. I'm expecting good work. I think the state is counting on us on this. I know that the chamber has been an incredible supporter of this committee coming about, and I look forward to working with everybody on that. Look in this budget this next year coming up, not as much money as in the past few years, but we will be smart about it. We will be very frugal. I believe we'll see another increase in teacher pay. You're going to see a lot of work being done on energy. We, for good or for bad, South Carolina's, I guess it's good and bad news. South Carolina stayed open for business during COVID, which meant we grew while other places were not. We had an energy plan, but now we're about 3 years ahead of where we thought we'd be because we moved faster during COVID than expected. Again, I mean, silver lining, but we're now at the place where we've got to consider what's going on with the energy in our state. And Chairman Sandifer on LCI and Chairman Davis, who's the LCI chairman, of course, our own Senator Tom Davis, are working on that through their LCI Senate and House committees. So I expect legislation to help us ramp that up as well. Look for a lot of partnerships and internships going from the Department of Employment and Workforce and our universities and our technical colleges. Those are our really key forces. The Speaker of the House has literally mandated that we are to be working on workforce issues. That is the #1 goal of South Carolina. And everything that we're working on below that is to support that goal. So I thank you for your time. I'm sorry it was kind of fast and a lot of information all at one time. Email if you'd like to send me anything, you can ask questions. It's Shannon Erickson at schouse.gov. Shannon Erickson at schouse.gov. And I'll take any questions on the group too, but thanks. And good to see you, Will.
Good to see you, Madam Chairwoman. It's tough to follow you because, folks, as you all know, Chairwoman Erickson's involved in pretty much every important issue at the Statehouse. I think I clicked on the Post and Courier this morning and saw her face on 2 separate articles on 2 different issues today. So, you know, she's not kidding when she mentions long days at the Statehouse. She's working hard and is a tireless advocate, not just for y'all's community, but the entire state. And we appreciate her service. But Megan, thanks for having me. Always good to join this group and kind of talk about what we're seeing from the state chamber perspective and kind of what we're working on. I think when I spoke to the group last, I kind of teased some of the results from our 2023 grassroots tour, which is now completed, and that data is on our website, and I'll put that in the chat in a little bit. But we have finalized and gotten board approval on our competitiveness agenda. We'll release that the first week or second week of January in line with the legislative session. But I did want to roll through and talk about the priorities there. We've separated in kind of 5 bullet points in 5 different focus areas, consistent with what you've heard from Representative Erickson. And again, that goes back to the fact, to her point, that leadership in the House and Senate are focused on business issues, workforce development, ensuring our state is not only prepared for the growth we're seeing today, but the growth that we're going to continue to have over the next decade plus. So it's an exciting time to be working in politics and working on these types of issues that we know will help advance our community. So our first bucket is establishing a flourishing and resilient talent pipeline, and that is just a code word for everything workforce development. Again, there's been a lot of great work done over the past number of years, and we want to see continued investments in things like the Workforce Scholarships for the Future program, which has trained over 40,000 South Carolinians to date. Continued funding for great programs like Be Pro, Be Proud that really are teaching students about the next generation of jobs out there in high demand fields, in the skilled trades. Things like upskilling tax credits through the E-Zone training program, which is something that passed the House last year, but is waiting action in the Senate. Again, incentivizing employers to upskill their employees. You know, as we look to the electrification of the automotive industry and the jobs that will bring, we have workers that are prepared, but may not have the skills fully needed today. But we want to encourage companies to bring them in the door and get them the skills that they need. Similar with apprentices, there's an apprenticeship tax credit out there that we've been supportive of for a number of years. So modernization of that, bringing it more in line with what other states are doing, and again, continuing to incentivize businesses to utilize apprenticeship programs. Childcare, I don't know if I can say it any better than Representative Erickson just did. It is a business issue, and it's one of the things that we hear constantly from business owners, that they're struggling to hire and retain employees. As you all know, workforce continues to be the number one most common response when we ask folks, hey, what's the biggest challenge your organization's facing? 42% on the grassroots tour said it's the lack of workers that they can't find to fill the jobs. And then when you ask companies, hey, are you struggling to hire workers? They say 70% say, yes, I am. And we know that childcare is a barrier for families and for women in particular. It's one of the top barriers for them. And, when you have it where individuals are, choosing to stay at home because it's more economically sensible for them to just stay at home with their child than to go get a job because the cost of care, or in some areas of the state, they can't find care. It's a crisis. And that committee that Representative Erickson talked about is going to do a lot of great things. Our CEO, Bob Morgan, was in the upstate yesterday on a press conference with a bunch of different business leaders, highlighting that I think it's a $1.4 billion economic impact that the lack of childcare has on the state of South Carolina each year. That's a significant amount of dollars that are being left on the table because families cannot get into the workforce. So we're excited to see what the recommendations kind of flow out of that committee and look forward to working closely with them. There are a few things that we've already identified, at least from a business perspective, just again, trying to encourage more employers to either offer on-site childcare or stipends for their employees who wish to go to a certified provider. But we know that this is a multifaceted issue with a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things that need to be addressed, and we stand ready to support any and all efforts that committee undertakes. Another thing under the workforce bucket that we may see this year, Speaker Smith has a bill addressing this, is the duration of unemployment benefits. Right now in South Carolina, individuals can collect unemployment benefits for 20 weeks, relatively low compared to the nation average duration. But if you look across the Southeast, during times of low unemployment like we have right now, 2.9% here in South Carolina, that duration is longer than other states in the Southeast. They've indexed it to the unemployment rate. So when the unemployment rate is low in states like Florida, Georgia, Alabama, unemployment benefits only last for 12 weeks. So there's some legislation out there that will follow that model and index it to ensure that South Carolinians aren't incentivized to stay out of work longer than other states in the Southeast. The second bucket is bringing fairness to an unfair tort system. That's everything related to lawsuit reform, and we've discussed with this group the challenges that businesses are facing, and particularly in y'all's region, those in the hospitality sector with liquor liability insurance. We've been focused more broadly on joint and several liability, and we have a bill in the Senate, the South Carolina Justice Act, that we're really trying to get across the finish line there that we think will, again, kind of clear up the fact that there's a hunt for the deepest pocket because juries cannot allocate fault to individuals not named in a lawsuit. So routinely you find businesses who may be 15% at fault for an accident stuck with 100% of the damages. And again, that's not fair and something that we're trying to address, but also recognize that the alcohol issue may be more felt in particular parts of the state, and something that I think will be addressed in some form or another. So, excited that we may get some lawsuit reform taken care of in some way, but, don't aware of reality and some of the challenges that we face with the broader bill that's over in the Senate. But that's something that we will be very focused on in the early parts of session, trying to get that through the Senate and get it over to the House to work on before the end of the session. The third bucket is ensuring continued economic growth and prosperity. South Carolina is booming. We've had back-to-back record years in capital investment and job creation. The state's done an incredible job investing in our infrastructure through the budgets over the past couple of years. We want to make sure that that investment is continued. We saw 2 years ago, I think in the FY22 budget, monies designated to the Department of Transportation for highways and interstates that allowed South Carolina to capitalize on good planning to take federal dollars to speed up some road widening projects. the focus now may need to be on bridges. There are a lot of bridges across South Carolina that are due for repair soon, and they're not in crisis stages yet, but if we don't address them, they may get there. So funding for bridge repair throughout the state is a priority for the business community this year. As Representative Erickson mentioned, energy is going to be a big topic of discussion. Expect to see some legislation rolled out early in January on that topic. From the business community perspective, we're just maintaining a consistent position that we need access to reliable, affordable, and available energy. And that's going to be an all of the above approach, whatever it takes. It's going to, we're going to need natural gas expansion to meet that need in the interim. We know that solar, hydro, wind, all things like that are important to think about and to bring to our grid for generation capacity in years to come, as well as nuclear. And South Carolina relies on nuclear power, which makes our grid cleaner than many other across the country. But small modular reactors going forward or the future in the next decade, 2 decades plus. So again, pounding the table for an all the above approach. There's no one solution that's better than others, but that's something that Speaker Smith, the governor, all members of leadership are all singing from the same hymnal on. Again, folks are very aligned on what the needs for South Carolina to continue to thrive are. The fourth pillar for us is modernizing the tax code. Again, we've been tireless advocates for tax reform. We've made some meaningful changes, still have some work to do, particularly on property taxes. We hope that we'll see a continued reduction in the individual income tax that was authorized from the 2022 tax bill. The first phase-in approach was put into place last year in the budget. I hope to see that in this year's budget. To Representative Erickson's point, less dollars than in the past years, but the state's coffers are still full, doing very well. South Carolina is not slowing down. So budget writers will continue to be smart and make sure that they're using funds for the best interests of the citizens. There's another bill out there that we'll be working on this year that deals with unemployment insurance taxes. Right now, if a company does not file their UI taxes on time, they get escalated to rate class 20. For perspective, like rate class 1 and rate class 2, your unemployment insurance taxes are like $9 an employee. If you get taken up to rate class 20, it becomes $764 in employee, and there's also a lien that's placed on your account. So you could go, if small business that just simply forgets or doesn't submit this on time, they could go in to pay what they think is a couple $100 tax bill and see that it's $30,000, and that, hey, I might have to declare bankruptcy. I can't pay this. So looking for a common sense solution there. This is something that the Department of Employment and Workforce has approached us on, to say that that when they have a company that's in arrears and did not pay on time, they can enter an installment plan with the department. They don't get taken to rate class 20. They pay off that lien. They stay in whatever rate class 1 and saves them a significant amount of money. Again, common sense. And just another example, we have great state agencies here in South Carolina that, they're not out to get businesses. They want to work with businesses. They want to say, hey, what are the challenges you're facing? The number of times I get calls from DHEC, Veterans Affairs, and say, hey, what can we do to help y'all? It's a refreshing way of running government in South Carolina. And again, when they come to solutions, say, hey, we want to help businesses, we're always ready to listen, ready to see how we can be helpful. And then the last bucket, letting businesses do business, not really something that we'll see a lot of action on at the state level, we don't think, because we have a General Assembly that's business friendly and recognizes the need to, not have overreach and let businesses thrive. But you all may have seen the announcement this week that the UAW is looking to unionize a couple automotive plants here in South Carolina. Just rest assured that when we say let businesses do business, that's what we mean. We'll step in and defend South Carolina's right to work status. It's crucial to our economic vitality, and we stand ready to defend the business community. Another thing, just to flag for y'all that you may have seen, and this is not on our agenda, that concludes the 5 pillars we're working on. But in some capacity, artificial intelligence will be talked about this year. Jeff Bradley from that part of the state has been named the chair of the standing artificial intelligence committee, the first of its kind in the country. Sometimes we're not on the cutting edge of things in South Carolina, but on this issue we are. It's the first committee of such jurisdiction that can advance legislation. So monitoring that, and I give kudos to Speaker Smith and Chairman Bradley on that, and we look forward to providing a voice from the business community on artificial intelligence. I'll tell you all a funny story. We had our annual summit 2 weeks ago, and we had a panel on AI. We had a professor from Clemson University who's head of their human-centered computing, has been studying AI for 15 years. Someone from the University of South Carolina to talk about the impacts of artificial intelligence on pharmacies, a Navy perspective, and someone from Amazon who does their artificial intelligence policy. I needed some assistance writing the questions for the panels, and I opened up Chat GPT and got some help. The professor at Clemson immediately told me, I can tell that Chat GPT wrote this. They're good questions, but I can tell based on syntax alone that you had some assistance there. But again, that's an issue that's growing. It's something the federal government will have to address. And again, kudos to our state General Assembly for focusing on that. So I think that is all that I have. Again, happy to answer any questions. The tough questions I'll defer to Representative Erickson, because again, she is involved in nearly every major important decision going on at the State House, and your region's lucky to have her. We're lucky to have her. We're lucky to have folks in the General Assembly that want to get work done, that want to better South Carolina, that want to make a positive impact, and you know, we want to help in any way we can, and we appreciate this chamber helping us and being a voice for the business community in your area.
All right, my apologies on the delay there. I'm used to running the back behind the scenes of this while Ian speaks, so I'm trying to do both. It's a little bit of a learning curve this morning, but thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you so much, Will, for updating us. These are very, very important issues for the state of South Carolina and for our region. We share in workforce being a top priority, and the fact that Shannon, you all are planning from age 0 through K through 12, through collegiate years, and even those exiting the military to be in a pipeline that builds our community's workforce is huge. So thank you so much. I did have one comment so far on chat, and that was thanking you both, thanking you, Shannon, particularly for the CDL licensure for veterans or folks leaving the military. So kudos on that. If anyone else has a question, they may unmute themselves and speak up or send it by chat. We'll open the floor now. And if any of my colleagues on the board would like to make any comment or additions, I welcome you to do so. Hearing none, going once, going twice.
Do I get to finish up for a second?
You definitely can.
How about that? Nick touched, Will touched on a couple of things that I would like to reiterate with the membership, if you'll give me just a moment. The AI piece is vitally important, and Representative Jeff Bradley from Hilton Head is our chairman of our House Regulations Oversight Committee. So the fact that he is also going to take on the AI piece is really a hand in glove situation, because there's open AI and there's closed AI and there's machine learning and there's all of these things. I mean, I have, through the education role, been immersed in it all on off session. And the speaker came and sat us both down. The speaker sent me to 3 conferences this off session learning about it. And Jeff and I kind of drew straws. And I'm so happy because I have enough on my plate. And Jeff is going to be incredibly adept at that. And with his regulatory role for us as business people, that's going to be vitally important, because AI is not going to take jobs. It will enhance jobs. It will allow us to be smarter, faster, and quicker on our feet. Being nimble is what keeps South Carolina moving forward at a faster rate than everybody else, AKA no unions and no problems with employers setting up their goals and their strategies. So that piece for us is going to be a huge step. When the speaker realized that no other state had taken that step forward on making it a priority, he didn't hesitate. He literally said, well, that I don't even need to think about that for a minute. Put that in place. Let's get it going because the businesses of South Carolina need it. When I say our budget money will be lesser, Will is correct. We're still in a healthy situation. I do not want anyone to think Shannon's saying we're not going to have any money. We are funded fully. We will make all of the things happen that we need to make happen. We just might not be able to do everything we wish. And there's a difference between needs and wishes. But I will say this, during our really good years, we have very carefully put money in reserve. We have more reserves in our South Carolina accounts than we have ever had moving forward. And some of us have been there long enough to remember the Great Recession and how we had services that got cut. And we did not want to see that happen again. So I want you to know as businesses that the like Due's piece on unemployment and paying your unemployment taxes and all of those things, we're trying to make sure our agencies are friends of business, not adversaries. These are things that I hear from companies, and that rate, that's a real story Will told you. I actually know a business in Beaufort County that had it happen. And all of a sudden they're doing great. And then 1 minute they switch a bookkeeper and something is filed 1 day late. And that's what was happening. And yeah, 1 day and you are done. That's not the kind of business environment that South Carolina has. And we're lucky that Due is answering that piece for us. I'm a co-sponsor on that legislation and have been working with them on it because it's vital to the health of businesses to be able to know what's predictable in their world of regulations. So know that we're healthy, we're working hard. The chamber is there for you guys, state level and local level. And I promise you, I know we all miss Ian and sad that he's gone, but Megan has me on speed dial as well and has known me her entire life. So I'm pretty sure she knows how to track me down wherever she needs me. I can promise it. But know that what you're doing is appreciated every day. Okay, we really know what we have special here in Beaufort and in our region, and I look forward to serving you any way I can.
Thank you, Shannon. Our motto right now at the chamber is if you're spending a lot of time looking in the rearview mirror, you're going to miss what's happening right in front of you, looking through the windshield. So we got to keep looking through the windshield at where we're going. If you aren't ahead, you fall behind. I do have a question for you. I have some kudos on chat for the AI committee. Thank y'all for sharing more information about that. That seemed to be exciting to people and necessary. I do have a question related to that from one of the folks on the call, and that is cybersecurity. Is there any investments or planned investments into cybersecurity from the state level?
Although we've got ongoing cybersecurity, we've got a cybersecurity group in Aiken and a cybersecurity here in Beaufort. Our budget has had money for both of those the past several years. The group through Beaufort is through the University of South Carolina, Beaufort, and our cybersecurity office that's housed at base camp area there at 500 Carteret Street. They're working mostly on maritime security, the shipping industry and the boating world, port situations, inland. In Aiken, there is cybersecurity going on for other issues, kind of hacking, banking, your personal information, that sort of situation. I don't believe that's something that we'll see lessen. I think we'll see it grow. I certainly know that for the DMV, for example, we have an antiquated DMV system. Remember, my committee is education and public works. So it's great. It's right up my alley, which is fabulous. I love it. DMV system is called Phoenix. It is, I think, 27 years old, and we can no longer patch it. We have been really fixing what we can fix, but we're going to need an incredibly large amount of money to put the new system in place. And things like security for your driver's license, let me give you a little heads up. Coming in the next year or so, we can't, right now you can walk in and get your driver's license within minutes of renewing it because of the security of the paper and what these things are made out of, because people are getting smarter about hacking and making these things, right? We have to be smarter and a step ahead of them. So we're going to be using a different process, and I don't ask me the technical name of it, but you won't get your license on the actual day that you go in and renew. You will get it later on sent to you in the mail, but you will be able to pay an expedited fee if you do need it quickly. So like an overnight or a 24-hour type of scenario. But know that that's one of those cyber security issues. It's not just in a cybersecurity office, but across our agencies, where we're trying to take really smart steps in keeping your data and your information safe. So that's just one piece of it. Also, roads. Will touched on that. We should be. I'm very proud that I was chair of that budget committee when we got the interstate piece passed through and the funding put in place for that. And y'all, I'm also really pleased that I-95 is part of it, because it wasn't in the first cut, I can tell you, but it is now. So you're going to see some construction starting at the Georgia line, at South Carolina and Georgia line, coming up in should be January or February. And I'm pretty excited about that, because we've gotten all of our easements, we've gotten all of our permits, we've gotten all of our all the paperwork's done. We should be seeing some groundbreaking, and I'll make sure everybody knows when that starts.
Megan, I'll jump in and respond on some of the things in the chat from Shannon's question and then Shelby's sharing of dues link. This is one of the pieces of the comprehensive workforce bill that the House passed last year and was signed into law. The governor consolidating and better aligning and coordinating our workforce development efforts here in South Carolina. One of the tools is a supply gap analysis and a dashboard that will have even more reflective comparison wage rates for your local regions. Dude's working on that. They've had a lot of stakeholder meetings on, enacting that dashboard and rolling out the unified state plan. One of the things that you'll probably notice going back to the payment of your unemployment insurance taxes, when you go into any business owner goes into suites, which houses that, one of the requirements now that was part of that law is employee occupation code. So standard occupation code is called a SOC code, and you'll be able to put exactly what each of one of your employees and what their actual specific occupation is. Versus, right now, I think Du had a good example. They can see that someone works in a hospital. Well, they don't know if they're in an administrative role, if they're a nurse, if they're a surgeon, if they're on the janitorial staff. It just says healthcare, hospital, and it kind of mucks up this data, so you can't really see, all right, what is the going wage rate for this specific job in my region. So now that data will be better once it gets rolled out. It will, help folks not only on the business side see what they need to be more competitive in offering wages and benefits, but for students, parents to kind of see, all right, really here what the jobs are that are for me, what I should be pursuing. Here are the steps that I need to get these high-paying jobs. So really exciting stuff being done. That workforce bill was really visionary and something that we were proud to support, and glad that that was signed into law last year. And again, Du is working tirelessly behind the scenes. I think they're meeting like once a week on this to try and roll out the unified state plan. So keep an eye out. That's coming. And again, that new requirement will go into effect in mid-March of this year. And if you have any questions on that, Du is happy to answer those. They've reached out proactively to us and other organizations to kind of walk employers through the changes and to make sure it's not an additional burden in place for individuals filling out that. So more to come, but in addition to the data that's already out there.
Very helpful. Thank you both for your very thorough answers and everything you shared with us today. I really hope that our chamber members on the call gained something that they can take with them to help them do business better. Please share something you learned today with a colleague or another business owner, because the more informed we all are, the better representation we can give to the business community when we're expressing a voice collectively in support of all of these important initiatives. So thank you, Will and Shannon, for everything you've shared with us today. And thank you to the chamber members who have joined us. We will broadcast this on our YouTube channel so that you can rewatch it if you need a reminder of a certain topic, and so that you could share it if you find it would be helpful with someone else. I don't have anything else. Last call for questions and comments from the group. Y'all hit it out the park. Lots of applause from our members this morning. So thank you very, very much. Just in closing, if you're here in Beaufort tonight, we hope to see you down at Night on the Town on Bay Street. It's a big, wonderful kickoff to the holiday season. And I would not be doing my job if I didn't encourage you to shop local, support the small businesses here, support the folks who live and work here. And let's come together and have a great time tonight down at Night on the Town.
Hooray.
So
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous weekend. Thanks again, Will and Shannon.
Thank you, Megan. See y'all. Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend.
Bye, everyone.